This is Regained Wellness Podcast with Jamie Logie, episode 180, Unusual Ways to Burn Calories. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jamie Logie. I run regainedwellness.com, and this is Regained Wellness Podcast of the same name. Thanks for coming on out. If you're new, extra special welcome. And this episode is looking at, we know the regular way to burn calories and increasing your energy expenditure and watching the diet, but you'd be interested in some of these actual unusual ways that you can also burn calories through the day, especially if it's like a day where you haven't been able to be as active and just looking for that little boost. So that's what we'll be looking at right now. So I was saying, obviously to burn more calories, you need a higher energy expenditure. And it's not as simple as the whole calories in, calories out thing that, like, if you eat 500 calories and burn 500, that's going to eliminate it. It's such a complicated thing that's so hard to get into. The first thing to look at is you basically don't really know how many calories you're eating. Even if you're counting calories down to the individual calorie, when you look at packaging information, the FDA allows around a 20% sort of mistake going in either way. So whatever you're reading could have 20% more calories or 20% fewer calories, and that falls into the kind of right guidelines. And it's considered to be actually a lot higher than that, upwards of 25 to 30, and that's on packaged information stuff. And a lot of these companies they're not actually testing the calorie content in that specific item. They're using sort of a database and going off of that. So it's really tough to know how much you're getting. Same thing with if you're actually eating something that's not in a package, which is more of an ideal approach. If you take like a couple of potatoes, they vary in size, density, where they were grown, the soil content, the nutrient content. So, I mean, the calorie variations between those two can be through the roof. And then you don't know how many calories you're actually burning off. You can use those calculators to determine it, but it really doesn't indicate what's happening with your body, depending on a lot of things like hormonal levels, stress levels, temperature, age, sex, all sorts of different things. But the main thing is when you do, I know that gets all kind of contrived, but the main thing, if you do focus on real whole foods, your body just has this sort of built-in mechanism to balance calories off better. It's when you start adding all the other stuff and the refined manufactured foods, that's when the problems start happening, and that's when calories needs to be looked at a little closer. And then again, it's tougher to actually determine what you're actually eating. But if you do focus on the real whole foods that our bodies have been designed to eat, there's just this sort of regulation system that makes it a lot easier, that you don't have to think about it that much. But looking at that, these are interesting. Hopefully you find these interesting other ways that your body can burn more calories. And a lot of this info comes from healthline.com, which honestly is probably the best online resource for anything nutrition wise, as far as research, in-depth, like review everything. Like they do all the like digging into like the real studies. It's something I use all the time. So the first one that helps you burn more calories is actually exposure to cold. And the exposure to the cold temperatures may help boost your metabolic rate by stimulating what we call brown fat activity in the body. So your body fat stores are mainly made up of white fat, and they also include small amounts of brown fat. And they're actually two different types of fats that have different types of functions. So the white fat, its main function is energy storage. So having too much white fat tissue, that's obviously not going to be good. It promotes inflammation, insulin resistance, everything like that. The thing, though, is you have this brown fat, and the main function of it is to maintain body heat during cold temperature. And depending on your climate or where you live in the world, you'll naturally have more levels of this. It's just, again, it's one of those built-in mechanisms your body has used to survive and adapt to the conditions. So this brown fat's calorie burning effect has been shown to vary among different individuals. In general, people who are obese seem to have less active brown fat than normal weight people. And this is done on animal research. So, I mean, it's hard to take, but it does give a good indicator on how it's working in mammals. So some of the research says chronic exposure to cold is believed to lead to the browning of that white fat. So now you have more of this fat that is actually working more in your favor, as opposed to leading to inflammation and hormonal issues and stuff like that. So they there's a study that looked at younger men with similar body compositions, and they stayed in around 66 degrees Fahrenheit, around 19 degrees Celsius environment for 2 hours. So though their calorie burning increased in all of them, the effect was tripled in those with the highest brown fat activity. So then there's another study in 10 lean young men exposed to a temperature of 62 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 degrees Celsius for 2 hours. That led to an additional 164 calories burned per day on average. So it basically just means if you are exposed to cold, your body is going to be more metabolically active. And you can do this a few ways. So you've probably heard about cold showering. That's a way to absolutely spike your metabolism. Whether it's a straight whole cold shower, which is tough, or you near the end of a normal shower, you start to taper it off into like warmer, cooler, cold, and transition it that way. That's going to help. As long as you like start lowering the temperature in the shower and not have it piping hot, will boost your metabolism. If you can do it, go for the full cold shower. You'd be amazed at what it can do for you. Also, like just lowering the temperature in your home. If you like to walk or run, if you do it earlier in the morning when the temperatures are cooler or chillier, you'll get more of that metabolic effect. Okay, and then going along with that, another way, kind of unusual way to burn calories is to drink cold water. Obviously, you need water to stay hydrated. It's involved with every function in the body, from digestion, absorption, transport of nutrients, circulation, temperature regulation. See, it comes back into that with that whole brown fat, white fat thing again, and your body's sort of built-in mechanism to take care of itself and burn calories. So drinking water has been shown to temporarily boost metabolism in normal and overweight adults and children. And again, this is from healthline.com. Some of their studies were suggesting that you may be able to maximize this effect by drinking cold water. And a group of researchers reported that 40% of this increase in metabolic rate is a result of your body having to warm up the water to body temperature. So your body stays at 98.6 degrees. If you're drinking something that is colder than that, your body's got to get it to that normal temperature. So how it does that is has to be more metabolically active. That increases calorie expenditures. They found, there's 2 studies here in young adults, found that drinking 17 ounces, around 500 milliliters of cold water, increased calorie burning by 24 to 30% for 90 minutes. That's pretty huge. And considering like the effects that you get from exercise as far as metabolic rate, there's obviously with exercise, you're going to have more hormonal improvements and everything like that. But that's pretty incredible. But that's a study that was kind of small, and there's always additional research that needs to go along with it. And then, there's another study here in healthy young adults noted that drinking 17 ounces, again, of cold water increased calorie expenditure, but by only like 5% for 60 minutes. The point is, though, it is still boosting calorie burning in your body whenever you're drinking cold water. So there's a tip to add in each day. Next one, and this is a weird one too, is chewing gum. And so there's a few ways to look at this. So I'll give you the information and then kind of tell you what I think. So chewing gum has shown that's chewing gum as opposed to just chewing gum. That's been shown to promote feelings of fullness and also reduce calorie intake during periods of the day. And then there's some evidence suggests that it may also help speed up your metabolism. So this is looking at a smaller study of normal weight men. They consume meals on 4 different periods of the day. They burn significantly more calories following meals after they chewed gum. There's another study with 30 young adults chewing gum for 20 minutes after each meal, and it increased their metabolic rate compared to those who were not chewing gum. So the problem with gum chewing, so this is very interesting. I didn't realize how much it could actually bump up your metabolism, especially after meals. And the problem with gum is if you chew it on an empty stomach, it can cause problems because whenever you start the actual chewing mechanism in your body is anticipating that you're eating. It doesn't know that it's chewing this like pink wad of Bazooka Joe that has no nutrition in it, and that you're not going to be receiving any calories. Your body, though, thinks it is, or else why would you be chewing? So now it starts releasing digestive enzymes, salivary amylase, things to like break down foods, everything like that. But without any food, there's nothing there for that to use. So that can lead to like cramping, bloating, gas sometimes, and just overall discomfort because of all these digestive enzymes being released. So, but I'd say based on what this research is saying, if you do it after the meal, you've already got, you know, the food in there for all those digestive enzymes and hormonal releases to do their thing. So you might actually get that benefit of that extra calorie burning, and then not cause any of that, you know, bloating or cramping effect after. So that's a very interesting one. Okay. This, again, just take this as what it's worth. The next way unusual way to burn calories is donating blood. And having your blood drawn increases the number of calories you burn, just at least for a temporary moment. When you donate blood, your body uses energy to synthesize new proteins, red blood cells, and other blood components to replace what has been lost. So obviously you can't do this every day. You need to wait at least 8 weeks between blood draws to replenish your blood supply. But it's just interesting how your body springs into action after this. So I'm not encouraging this. I'm just passing on the info. There's also research suggesting that donating blood actually offers several health benefits, including lowering your inflammatory markers, increasing antioxidant activity, which I was not aware of, and reducing your risk of heart disease. And, you know, of course, you're potentially saving lives when you do that. But that's an interesting one. I think it goes along with the same thing as far as that your body has to synthesize new proteins the same way that your body builds muscle and what they call muscle protein synthesis. And that's, you know, like when you eat, it's like if you're working out and you break down muscle tissue and you're building it back, you're doing that through proteins and amino acids. And it's the act of like actually, say if you're eating piece of chicken or steak, the actual energy it takes to break down that meat is putting your body into what we call a thermogenic state, where it's got to be more metabolically active. It's like where, you know, they talk about the meat sweats. That's because of all the energy it takes to break down that protein. So like if you're eating, again, like whatever form of protein, 30% of the calories in that, say that piece of steak, are used just to like digest and process the meat. That's how metabolically active it is. And then it turns your body into a furnace because it's so necessary to require energy and calorie expenditure. And the actual act of your body turning amino acids and protein into new muscle tissue, like we call muscle protein synthesis, uses huge amounts of calories, upwards of 700 calories just for this conversion process. That's how much energy it takes. 700 calories is more calories than you will do in most workouts. That's how metabolically active and how important it is to build lean muscle and get adequate protein. Okay, next unusual way to burn calories is to fidget more. And you might be one of those people that naturally fidgets and you're always like tapping your feet or your hands or whatever. And it's it can actually have some benefits. So obviously exercising burns calories, that helps you stay fit, but fidgeting can actually still be a form of physical activity, albeit a subtle form, but it can boost your metabolic rate. So this is known as non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like I was just talking about before, the thermogenesis, like the activity, that heat in your body. So we call this NEAT, N-E-A-T. And fidgeting, you know, falls right into that. So it's, you know, whether it's you're moving in a restless manner, like you're bouncing your leg, or you're tapping your fingers on the table, or you like play with your rings or your watches, whatever it is. It was shown that in one study, people who fidgeted while seated or standing were shown to burn 5 to 6 times more calories on average than when they sat or stood still. then another study found that people with the highest body weight experienced the greatest increase in metabolic rate in response to fidgeting and other types of non-exercise activity. And this is interesting because, like I was saying at the start of the show, on a day where, say, you weren't able to exercise, or you weren't able to make it to the gym, or you had to spend longer at like work or more time sitting, this can be a way to burn some more calories that you weren't able to do in your other activity. And that fidgeting actually makes a real significant contribution to the number of calories you burn in each day. So this is another group of researchers suggested that a combination of fidgeting, walking, and standing could burn up to 2,000 additional calories daily, depending on a person's weight and activity level. And I've talked about this before on the show, but like, if you're stuck at a desk all day, if you can at least get up for 30 seconds every 20, 30 minutes, just that act of standing is going to help make your body more metabolically active. When you sit for periods, especially like longer than 2 hours straight, you start, kind of turning off hormones in your body that allow your body to burn body fat. Your body's just kind of like gone blah at that point. And as well, you have issues of not engaging muscle and, core activation. Just standing is so beneficial. So if you can get up and move around more, that's better, but try not to be sitting for more than 30 minutes at a time, which isn't always practical. But so it's interesting here with all these research that if you can combine some of that fidgeting, like keeping your body active, walking, and then being able to stand, that you can burn a ton of calories through the day. And that's awesome for those days where you just can't be as active as you were hoping for. And then, that because that fidgeting may help burn calories and prevent weight gain, some experts have actually been calling for people to incorporate fidgeting and other forms of non-exercise activity into their daily lives. Like if you have any issues like that, just preventing you from exercise or activity or joint problems or conditions, if you can incorporate in these things like the leg bouncing and tapping, just something that keeping your body active, it's at least going to be helping you burning more calories and helping to hopefully prevent weight gain. And then there's the obvious bigger versions of fidgeting, I'd call them, and that would be taking the stairs as opposed to an elevator or escalator. That is physical activity, but it kind of falls into that non-exercise, form of thermogenesis. This is where, people use standing desks. That can make a huge boost your metabolic rate. That might not be practical. But then another thing which some people don't consider exercise, but it is like cleaning. So whether that's cleaning your office or your room or the living room or house or garage, it's one of those things like we just think of as I guess a chore, but it is an actual physical activity that burns a lot of calories, but then one that we don't sort of factor in. So all these things add up through the course of the day. Okay, let's finish up here. And the last unusual way to burn calories is to laugh, actually. And, they say laughter is the best medicine, but there is actually research behind this. Again, as I was looking more into this, it's confirmed that when you laugh, it obviously improves a lot of things like mental and physical health, and it actually can boost your memory, and it can improve your immunity. It can also improve arterial function, better for like blood flow. It does a lot of stuff, but it also burns calories, which is weird. So they looked at a study with 45 couples watching movies that were either humorous or serious. When they laugh during the funny movies, their metabolic rate actually increased by 10 to 20%, which is a lot. So, I mean, that might not sound like a lot, but the fact that it's just from this act where you just laugh for this second or two is pretty amazing that it can boost your metabolic rate. So, whether you can incorporate, it's hard to determine what can make you laugh, whether it's watching any shows or movies regularly that will do that. You're not only going to help improve your overall health and mental health, but it can actually burn some calories at the same time. Okay, so let's start wrapping it up here. So like to sum it up, like your metabolic rate, that determines the number of calories you're going to burn each day. And there's a lot of factors that affect your metabolic rate. So like I said at the start of the show, you really don't know. It's really hard to determine how many calories you're burning a day. You can go to actual labs where they can help determine this more. But, when you take those online calculators where you just plug in like your height, weight, activity level, it's not the clearest indicator. And like I said, there's so many factors during the day that, say wherever you are right now and whatever room you're in. And if I come in and just turn the temperature down, your metabolic rate changes just like that. Like there's so many different factors that are included. But the thing is, there's a lot of simple lifestyle changes you can do to increase your metabolic rate, and that's going to help you burn more calories each day. And I said, like, the biggest one is just probably from this show, like takeaway is to spend less time sitting as you can as possible. Like be up and active more than you are sitting, if that is doable in your daily life. But you don't have to be, going to the gym and exercise and everything like that helps, obviously, and hopefully that's part of it. But that's only like an hour, or 45 minutes, depending what your workouts are like. What are you going to do for the rest of those like 16, 18 hours in the day? That's what you want to be thinking about, to be up and mobile and moving around, being active, and that's going to really help increase your metabolic rate. Just because, obviously, like if you do a big workout each day, or if you've done a run or walk, that's super significant, and that's really going to help your overall health. But you want to still look at how that's going to continue throughout the day. And then, besides those things like, taking the stairs or parking farther away from where you work, or if you're at the mall, park on like the farthest part of the parking lot and then walk across to it. Just those little things to add in to boost that calorie burning. And then you can start including some of these things like the fidgeting, drinking more cold water, do more cold weather exercise, or try the cold showers, or at least cooler showers. Try the gum chewing after the meal. Laugh more often. All these things add up. So hopefully there's some things you can take away from the show. I'll end it here. Thanks for listening. If you like the show, hopefully you've subscribed already. If you haven't, I'm pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts. Okay, so keep fit and active, and don't forget to stretch your hamstrings.